Now, nation, ever since former CIA Director David Petraeus revealed his torrid affair, the scandal has the entire newscape in a tizzy.
It's the sex scandal that's rocked Washington.
A salacious sex scandal involving the now former CIA director.
Breaking new details on the fast-moving CIA sex scandal.
We have to talk about the fiscal cliff, but I'm dying to ask you about this scandal because it's all anyone's talking about.
Yeah. This sex scandal is all anyone in Washington can talk about. I wonder why the country's in financial ruin. Folks, I may be a news junkie, but I also gots to have my stories. And this is both. It's like a steamy episode of General's Hospital. And these days, folks, I spend my afternoons, plopped on the couch in a house coat, watching CNN with a Virginia Slim in one hand and a box of After Eights in the other. I don't care if the news goes straight to my hips, it is me time. And look, this story has got everything. A decorated war hero who's now America's spy master has an affair with his own sexy biographer who thinks the spy master is stepping out on her with a second girlfriend. So she sends an email from a secret account saying, "Step off or I will cut a biatch." And the second hottie freaks out and contacts her friend, an FBI agent, who launches an investigation but gets pulled off the case because he sexed her a shirtless photo. Meanwhile, the spy master's protege, also a general, has sent thousands of emails to the second woman. This isn't just a love triangle, folks. It's a love pentagon. But I gotta say, after that, it gets a little far-fetched. I mean, all of a sudden, the second woman has an emotionally troubled identical twin, and both the spy master and the general write letters of support for the twin sister's custody battle with her ex. Oh, and listen to the name they came up with for him. Grayson Wolf. Jimmy, we don't have a picture of him yet, so just put up a visual approximation. Good. Good, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Folks, I just gotta say, it's just not believable anymore. I think the news has jumped the shark. And the most unbelievable part, they say that the general down there, that general over there, he is the top commander of our war in Afghanistan. Afghanistan? Really? Please. If our troops were really still fighting in Afghanistan, don't you think we'd be hearing about that on the news instead of all this bullshit? Not believable. Anyway, bottom line, it's a soap opera, and it is done. We should all move on.
Oh, this is far from over. Oh, yes. And there's more. General Petraeus has developed amnesia and can't remember that he's pregnant by his own evil twin, who's in a coma and is my lover.
That doesn't make any sense.
How dare you!
How did you do that from over there?
Don't you remember? I was in a boating accident, and now I have telekinesis. Just like General Petraeus.
Still think it's full.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Susan Lucci, everybody. We'll be right back.
So in this video, basically, they're talking about how the news is reporting on stuff that doesn't really matter to American citizens instead of reporting on, like he said, our financial issues. So I tied this into something that might be a little bit of a stretch, but tied it back into something we talked about earlier in the semester, which is Plato's tripartite soul, where he talked about how there's three different classes of people. One being people that are governed by their appetites and passions, which is what he considers the masses. Two, which is people that are governed by their spirit or whatever, their courage, and that's the military. And thirdly, people that are governed by their reasons, which is the philosopher kings. And he believed the philosopher kings are the people that should be in charge of government. And I think I tied it to this video because the people they were talking about with the sex scandal are the government leaders. And I think it's like, it's the opposite, or whatever. It's ironic because the government leaders are actually acting like they're governed by their appetites and reasons, like the masses would be. And Plato hated democracy, or he didn't like the idea of it because he thought democracy is ruling of the masses, and he thought if the masses were in charge, they would be governed by their appetites and reasons, or their appetites and passions, which is not what he wanted because he believed the philosopher kings who would be in charge, they needed to be governed by the reasons because they would know what's good for the country or the society, that they would be able to make educated decisions. But in this case, like I said, these people are acting on their appetites and passions. So they're not acting like good government leaders.